What up? What up? It's your favorite information scientist out here in these podcasts, streets, information scientist in training, librarian by day, citizen of life, and Wiley's world. And who am I? Wiley. How y'all do? How y'all feel? I have not done a podcast episode and I don't know when. It wasn't a negative reason. I think last time I was getting ready to take my qualifying exam. Yes, fast. April 12th, so I'm really excited about that. Seriously, that was really monumental. And I was very excited to pass. And then I was closing out the semester, and I went to see my mother and my brother because I wasn't, my mother had it in her mind that I was gonna come see her for spring break. I did not promise that. I did not promise that. And then she was expecting that or hoping for that, and so of course she was salty that I did not was not coming. I mean, I was in California the week before. I was not going to Georgia. I also had to study. And as I said to her, another instance of where I stood up for myself and was like, I understand. I'm sorry that you're tired and that you're looking for someone to support you, but I need to prepare for this test. And that's what I did because I think you have to I'm learning that in many times you have to think about what's best for you. And it is hard to disappoint people because I know there's like podcast videos and different Instagram videos that are like, just disappoint people. I'm not saying they're not wrong. I'm not, I'm not saying they're not wrong. I'm just saying that sometimes though you do care about other people's feelings. You do. You do. If you're in a relationship with them, if it's your mom, it's like, if you don't know them, you might not give two shits. Um, so, and also realize that there are things that I can't fix. My mother and I have different experiences in life because we're two different people. Yes, we both lost a person that means a lot. That was her husband. He was my dad. She was not there in the house. I was the one that was there in the house. And that doesn't mean my grief is more than her grief. It's just different. It's different contextually and in experience. And, you know, I find myself as being a person in my life. I try to overdo and overgive and make up for things that I learned that you can't. There's nothing you can do to fix it or make it better. I can't. You can't. You can't. I can't. I can't go back and get my dad. I can't go back and make that experience not happen, not have happened. Um, that's just where we are right now. So there was that. And so I went and I visited. I gave them a tight, good 15 to 18 days tops. I think I was more interested in leaving for two reasons. One, I didn't want to be there be in Georgia on the anniversary of my dad's death. Two, just in case my flight was wonky, I wanted to be able to have money to pay for a hotel. So payday, be in the window and not have to stay in the hotel, in the airport, but that didn't happen. But that has happened to me before. Uh, I think I can't remember, sometime last summer. Um, I think I can't remember if it was the first trip or the second trip, but it was raining, storming out of Atlanta, and my flight kept getting delayed. And by the time I got to O'Hare, there was not a direct flight to my city. So I had to wait until the next day, and it was like a Saturday. So you had to wait until the Sunday. And so I stayed at a hotel that wasn't far from the airport and then got it the next morning and flew out. So I guess from my mind, that experience was like, you just never know how it is because when you get to the airport, it can be like this background. And you're hoping that it is great. I rode this groom transportation shuttle from Augusta to Atlanta, and I remember telling my wife, we stopped at this like rest center to go to the restroom, and I felt like I felt like I shouldn't have gotten up because, and I know that sounds silly because it's just like, yeah, you're already riding. And I'm like, anytime they're gonna stop for the restroom, I'm gonna go ahead and go because I don't want to be thinking about it as we ride on into, Atlanta. And so when I get back on the van, I notice there's a lady sitting in the same area that's near where I was sitting, because I was sitting in the window, and it's like a van, you know. And I'm like, where did this lady come from? Because she wasn't there. And I know there are 3 other seats. So I'm like, you couldn't have sat with any of them? And she was sitting so close to me. It's like I told my wife, we must go together. The lady was she was in my rib. And I was like, this is just, I hate it. And I'm like, what? Why did you have to come up here? And then I was mad at myself for going to the restroom, but then I was like, that's stupid. But thank goodness I had headphones, so I just listened to my music. And I was also grateful that when I put in my map how far was the airport, it wasn't that far. It was like an hour. I was like, just gonna keep listening to these songs. But I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. But what can you do? You can't, like I said, just like the airport, you don't get to control the way the planes flow. You don't get to control the way other people's move, and how I want autonomy or want the freedom to move around and exist and live and do what I do. Other people have that right too. I just don't like when they sit in your rib. I'm like, sit near the other lady's rib. Um, so anyway, that was my experience. I got back here. Did I plan for grief? I tried to. I had a meltdown the day before the anniversary of my dad's death. So there was that. Um, Wednesday, it was good. As good as you can, it's expected. It often feels weird because that's what feels most weird about um summertime. Summer is my favorite season. I like it because it's getting hot and warm. It brings up memories, connections, meaning as it relates to summer time of being connected with fun, and if getting together with your friends, getting together with people that you care deeply about. Maybe there's a music festival, some barbecue or some good food or something, good that you do. The movies, you go someplace, you enjoy yourself. um that's to me what summer means. At work, it slows down. You can work on your research projects or focus a little bit more on your writing. Yet for me, when my dad passed away last summer, it's kind of like everything that I felt about summer just kind of like went. I'm not saying it didn't exist, it just was really hard to connect to. And then you know even coming up to this period now, it's like, well, he hadn't passed away yet. So it was like Thanksgiving happened, Christmas happened. He was alive. Um, it wasn't until May, spring break, the last year's spring break, he was alive. So it's, that experience. And then I remember thinking, you know, Monday I had cooked barbecue and I made pork rib tips and baked beans and potato salad. And I remember sitting, eating, and I was watching BritBox because they had After the Flood. Check that out. That's a really good show. And I hate when they only do one season because you get to the end and you're like, what I'm gonna do? Because y'all not on season 2 yet. I don't even know if it got greenlit for a season 2, but it was really good. So it really, after the first, it was like the hype that they put on Facebook, you watched it and you were like, I gotta see the next one. I gotta see the next one. So you had to watch all of it. That's what happened. So, it was just like multiple truths. When I say multiple truths, I mean, it's true that I ate barbecue. It's true that I have tried to acknowledge, whole space, realize grief is a real thing, and live life at the same time. Uh, and it does feel weird because that's just how it feels. I don't know if it will ever not feel this way. I do not know. What else happened? Writing a dissertation proposal. So that in itself, writing feels like excavation because you're facing your feelings and your thoughts and your ideas. Um, I'm grateful to the Qual scholars and the community of amazing scholars and thought thinkers, leaders, doctoral students from all around that are there. The leader, the facilitator, the founder of that group, Dr. Marvette Lacey, she's amazing. Um, I went to a writing retreat this past weekend. They helped me come up with a concept map because all I had was tiny bits of pages. Um, so, so it was like, "How's it going, Chris?" And I was like, "It's not going well." And they were like, "Why?" And I was like, "All I have." They're like, "What you got?" And I started, and they asked me probing questions, and we came up with a concept map. And I have been working on that ever since. So I'm very happy and grateful for that. Um, and holding space for the days when you sit and stare in space, because I feel like a lot of times I'm doing that. I'm figuring out life. I'm navigating life. I'm moving through life. Um, and it just I don't have a word for it. I don't it feels like excavation. That's literally how it feels. Um, and there's nothing that I can say, do, eat, drink to take it away. And I don't think that's what I'm supposed to do. So I just acknowledge that my feelings are in a right away of places, and that's okay. Because my phone is just dinging, dinging, and I don't even know. Oh, yeah. Um, but other than that, that has been my experience. Um, I'm hanging in there and continuing to write and planning out summer. I don't know. I mean, I had an idea that I was going to try to, you know, go to Philly and see the Roots picnic because I've always wanted to go, but that didn't really happen for me because I'm trying to go to a conference June 13th through the 15th. And when I'm looking at my finances, I don't have money for both. I really don't. So I could, yeah, pay for things to go to the Roots Fest, but I mean, not fest, but the Roots picnic, but I wouldn't have the money to go to the conference. And the conference is something that I needed to go to because collaboration, dissertation proposal, and also I need a fourth committee member. So it had a real meaning. I wish they had offered an opportunity to like submit something to like do a poster or something, because then I could have probably got scholars travel, but they didn't. So I'm going, taking the train because looking at rental cars, it was like, no. So that's what we're doing. And that's my plan. But writing is a process, you every day, just you and your notepad, or most of the time evenings I'll have ideas, or sometimes I'll make voice notes and then I'll take the idea, back with me the next day. So I went to lunch today with a friend. I invited myself. She allowed it though, but I probably should ask more questions because we ended up going to Urbana Family Restaurant. The clientele of the restaurant was 60 plus. Maybe one person there might have been 50 before us. And sometimes a lot of those restaurants like that, they don't season. They don't season. I don't know if they can't season because the people can't have it due to the medications or just the way their life works. But yeah, the you know, I with a black server and asked her about the fish, and she said, mm-mm. So I had a burger and a salad. I looked at the French fries because they brought the table to the side of us, the French fries, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm glad." It just, I wouldn't go there again. I didn't bring my lunch, and so when she was talking about going someplace, I'm like, "Oh, where you going?" It also brings up conversations between people and culture. Um, I won't say what her ethnicity is, but it often brings up a conversation about Southern cuisine. And I definitely wish that people, certain ethnicities, would not really believe that Southern cuisine means fried chicken. That's a problem. That's a real problem. Because I was listening to her and she was like, well, she was talking about really wanting Southern cuisine, but the only thing she talked about was pork tenderloin. And I'm like, a, a fried pork tenderloin is not necessarily Southern cuisine to me. And I'm a Georgian. I'm a native Georgian. Though I haven't lived in Georgia, I grew up there, but I also have to acknowledge that was 20 years ago. But I would say I'm more closer to a person that lived and worked in longer, Florida and Illinois longer than in Georgia. Or maybe it's equal time, because my mother and I have that argument. She gets mad because I say Illinois is my home. And she's like, Illinois is not your home. On your, that cap. I have lived in Illinois now since 2013. And before living in Illinois, I lived in Florida, Miami, Hialeah, Florida, and then Tallahassee. So when you add it up, I've been away from the place I grew up from, my childhood home, since 2003. So if you do the math, yeah, equally. I lived there for 20 years and I've been away for 20 years, 21 years to be exact. So there you go. But anyway, at 75, good luck on winning the argument. But back to my point, culture and Southern cuisine. And because that brings me to something I've been working out in my dissertation proposal, and this conversation is not my dissertation proposal, but I really love Stuart Hall. And Stuart Hall wrote in Cultural Representation and Signifying Practices, we give things meaning by how we represent them, the words we use about them, the stories we tell about them, the images of them. We produce the emotions we associate with them, the ways that we classify and conceptualize them, and the values that we place on them. So I'm thinking about that in terms of meaning making as an area that I'm really interested in for exploring for my dissertation proposal, but meaning making in terms of everyday life, meaning making in terms of the stories, meaning making in terms of when we say home, when we say our experiences in, be it the childhood home or the home that you have now. What stories do we tell about them, about ourselves, about our relationships and meanings and connections with our families? What lessons, what insight can we learn from that? And I was just thinking, like I said, when I was talking with my coworker and she's talking about Southern cuisine, because I was telling her she had said she went to someplace, and I don't remember the name of the restaurant that she had went to, and I said, well, if you, because she said she wanted soul food, and I said, well, if you would like soul food and you're really interested in soul food, I listed this other restaurant. And I was like, I listed all of the things. And she said, that's Southern. I'm like, that's soul food. But I wouldn't necessarily say that soul food is only confined and connected to Southern cuisine. When you really look at, and it's what was the name of that documentary on Netflix that talked about food that was done really good? High on the Hog. There you go. I was like, you should probably watch that because it talks about cuisine, Southern food, historically, geographically, and the connection. So that isn't just Southern. And also, I think I was displeased with her thought that Southern food just meant fried chicken. What? Disappointed. I was extremely disappointed. I was extremely disappointed. I was like, and it's hard because my face tells the story. And I was like, my face was like, that is not. But, people don't know. And not just they don't know because they are incapable of knowing the things that they are actually interested in looking up and becoming aware of and increasing and enhancing their knowledge on any subject. They do not do that all the time. They don't. So it's often, that end up becoming a conversation about what kind of food did you eat when you grew up. And I'm like, growing up for me, my mother was not frying chicken all the time. That's not all that was a part of it, but not completely. I mean, realistically for me, when I think about that now, you know, fried chicken was more what they served at church for the which was it? Anniversary dinner. Yeah. Maybe no, not maybe. I wouldn't say they didn't do it for Vacation Bible School, but it was a part of they did fried chicken, baked chicken, string beans, potato salad, tossed salad, um, pound cake, sweet potato pie. That was anniversary dinner, or if they had revival, that might be when you had fried chicken, maybe. Or the fact that people brought that a lot when my grandmother died. And people brought so much chicken. And I remember my mother had a colleague that worked with her whose mother cooked. And I remember she had told my mother she was going to bring us something to eat because it was like my mother had at that time, there were all five of them were alive. Now there are four. And everybody was between my mother's and my aunt's house. And I'm pointing as if you can see, but you can't. But they lived 12 steps away. So it was kind of like how I'm facing you for this camera. If they're literally our houses faced each other. So it was walk through the fence or walk across the yard and you're at my aunt and uncle's house. So they were all there, but my mother's co-worker's mother, the Ruckers were their name. She had cooked and she didn't make chicken. I can't remember what she made, but it wasn't chicken. But you're also asking me to remember something that was 1995. I don't know. Long time ago. So, you know, it's just interesting to think about what people think about or what people assume or what people believe that you eat or that is connected, the meaning, the story that they say. When you say Southern cuisine, you mean fried chicken. Oh, I'm just deeply upset about that. But anyway, I'm gonna let that go. So yeah, that was lunch. I learned a valuable lesson. Don't invite yourself. Two, if you hear the place, you can often go, and I hadn't been there in years. I think I went once. I don't remember, me and Renee eating there. I think we left, but I don't know. Somebody talked about that and it really wasn't good. I don't remember, but like I said, that was when I first got here to Illinois. So who knows? But like I said, I like seasoning in my food. I really do. I do. And I understand that people can be on different medications and their life can dictate what they can have and what they can't have. So I understand that. And while that's true, I still like seasoning. And so does my mother. Because I'm trying to think, she did make spaghetti. It wasn't as good as it was when I grew up. It wasn't. That was something that she always did really well. But my mother has not really cooked a lot since my dad died. She hasn't. She cooks for my brother and and makes things that he would like or that he eats. And but that version of her that cooked a lot of different things. She hasn't been that person or that version of herself in some time. Uh, she's very into chicken salad, and because most of the time when I visit my mom, it's warm. So she's very much into chicken salad and um, salad, or she might make some baked chicken or something on Sundays. That's, it just depends. But she also has a lot of gift cards. So, and then when I think about like my aunt and my uncle, she doesn't cook, but also with her memory issues, you might not want her to cook these days. Just keeping it real. And that's another challenge, is you want people to have autonomy in their body, in their mind, and their ability to do for themselves and take care of themselves for as long as you can, as long as they can. As the children, the adult children of those individuals, the adult um, relatives of those, realizing you have very little control in making that so. And not that you should, but you still want it. Because, with my own mother, it was great to see her have more upper body strength and be able to get her own self in the bed. And, as she says, I want to be able to take care of myself for as long as I can. And I want that for her. I really do. Um, I do. So that's my update. I guess I'm calling these, Chronicles of Wiley's World, the experiences that I have as I think about like writing a dissertation and the level of emotions and feelings that come up when you're writing. And I feel like my dissertation is personal because it's connected to experiences that I have had. So it is not just a conceptual or theoretical. That's not what it is. So it also feels like I'm unearthing different parts of me, things that I have buried as I write, and keep writing. And like I said, it's still the early stages. So who knows? It's, so many versions of myself that are shedding and going away as I continue growing and evolving, in the different seasons of my own life um, that I'm thinking about and experiencing. So that's that. I don't know how you pretty that up or make it pretty. I just think that's just a part of life. We grow and we evolve, and we're doing the best we can, or trying to do the best we can, or trying to figure out what type of support we need, or to reach out to others, or in our relationships and connectivity with others, how we do that or how we don't do that. All of that's valid. That's all I got. I thank you for listening to me ramble. I hope that whatever it is, and talk to you, I hope that whatever and all that I have said has been insightful and helpful for your life. If not, these are just my chronicles of a doctoral student experiences while working full time. You have a good night. Take care of yourself. And if no one has said that they love and care for you, know that I sincerely do, and am wishing you well. Anytime you want to reach out to the podcast, wileyreport@gmail.com. Peace. Have a good day.